The talk around Boston sports today is Brad Marchand and that unbelievable tribute he got last night from the Bruins and his truly unbelievable reaction to it. Because while it is the most overused word in the English language, I did not expect the way Brad Marchand reacted to be the actual way that he reacted. He gets this long tribute video that, shout out to ESPN, they get rid of a commercial break just so we can watch it, what's going on in the arena, and then gets this thunderous ovation that I wasn't sure if it was going to let up. And Brad Marchand is sitting there in tears as this is happening, like legit, real tears on the bench and saluting the crowd. Like that, to me, I don't think I've ever seen that. Not like a guy getting his number retired, not a retirement ceremony, but a guy who was coming back and actually playing in a game. Like he had a point already to that point. He had an assist in the first minute of the game. But I don't think I've ever seen a guy get this emotional during a game and continue to go on like that. So it really is. It was emotional for everyone in the building. I was getting emotional watching it on TV. I might have had some tears running down a little bit. Like, this is a dude who clearly didn't want to leave. Obviously not enough to accept whatever the lowball Bruins offer was. So he did he was okay with leaving to some extent, right? But this was a guy whose entire legacy came through the Bruins. And, you know, it's not like Brad Marchand was the number one pick in the draft, generational prospect. Like, the Bruins really did take a shot on him. And 15 years after he makes his NHL debut in that building, he comes back for the first time as a visitor in the NHL. I just, it's tough to not get emotional about that, right? It's tough to not get emotional. But to see Brad Marchand in tears, like big puppy-eyed dog tears coming down his face in the middle of a game, I've never seen it, man. And good for him for just letting it cut loose, letting him be the way he is, man. I know some, Adam Jones at EEI is like, oh, he's crying. Yeah, that's a super edgy take, bro. Super edgy take. Yeah, I mean, just what a moment. One of the great moments at TD Garden. And what's unfortunate is it's not, it is one of the great moments in that building, but it's not a playoff game. It's not a playoff winning goal. It's nothing like that. It's one of the faces of your franchise in the last 20 years coming back in a different uniform. And I think that's really the takeaway from the night is like, it was emotional. It was tear-jerking. There was all kinds of emotions flying around that building. I'll use that word for the 10 billionth time in this segment. But I think the emotion that people walked out with was being pissed. Because what that was an example of last night is how much the Bruins have fallen, in a way. That the games we get excited for are not playoff matchups. They're not games against original six teams. They're not big rivalry games. It's for when our great players come back and play in a different uniform. And I'm sure the only one who wasn't basking in that moment for Brad Marchand last night was Don Sweeney. Brad Marchand's crying, and I'm sure Don Sweeney's saying, shit, don't cry. Come on, don't cry. That makes me look all the more worse. And again, I fault Don Sweeney for a lot of things. I don't fault him for this deal. But now all the Bruins fans are just sitting there thinking, look at what this guy took away from us. Brad Marchand should be retiring a Bruin. I'm sure 17,565 in the building last night thought exactly that way. And it's just the ultimate sign of where the Bruins are at right now. I said this game could go one of two ways. Either you get this galvanizing win that galvanizes you for 3 days, or you see how big this Brad Marchand thing is, and you get even more pissed at Don Sweeney. And to top it all off, you lose in the most comical way you could have possibly lost, right? You get this dramatic goal from Morgan Geekie, who's had an awful season so far, ties the game on a 6-on-5 with just over a minute left. And it's like, yeah, man, that's our galvanizing moment right there. But then, 30 seconds later, the Panthers score on this just ridiculous goal. They miss the net or hit the post, then miss the net, and it goes off of Andrew Peake's stick and into a wide open net like no one's even there. Just the most comical way possible of like, this is where we're at right now. We spend the beginning of the game paying tribute to one of our all-time greats coming in a different uniform, winning a Stanley Cup with a different team, and we end the night by showing you just how good we can be at tanking. Because it looks like the tank is on. Like, those are the kind of bounces you get when you are tanking, brothers and sisters. Right? You come back to tie the game. It's this great comeback. You were down 2-0, then down 3-2. You still make the comeback and get it to 3-3, and then you lose off that deflection. Off a puck that has no business going into the net. And Andrew Peake is none the wiser, man. That's the kind of bounces you get when it's supposed to be your year in the draft lottery, not your year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 5 straight losses, and the tank is very much on go. But I think as a Bruins fan, you can't help but feel the worst of it all last night. Not only the tank is on, but that you shouldn't have to be paying tribute to these guys. And honestly, my prevailing thought was, are we going to have to do this with David Pastrnak in a couple of years? Like, is that going to be the case? Are they going to fall so much farther that David Pasternak's not going to want to play here anymore because he wants to win a Stanley Cup, wants even a chance to win the Stanley Cup? And in 6 years, are we going to have a tribute video for him as he's coming in wearing some other sweater? That would be devastating again for the Bruins. Devastating. But you do have to wonder, this is a dude who is one of the best offensive players in this league. And he's in his prime, and he's on a heck of a contract when you look at some of the other guys now, like McDavid, like Kaprizov, obviously. And he's got to be thinking, when do I start winning again here? When do I have a chance to win here? You know, I'm 29 years old. I'm one of the best damn players in the league. I haven't won a Stanley Cup, and I'm nowhere near one right now. So you think it's emotional for Brad Marchand? Like, think of what it would be for David Pastrnak, who didn't get to win one here. Would be devastating. And that's my biggest fear, is that this is not the last time we see a Bruins legend, a guy who is at the top of all the Bruins offensive categories and is going to have his number retired one day, coming back to Boston in a different uniform and sobbing on the ice because he wanted to win it here. That is my fear after watching that last night. But let me know what it was for you. Give me your emotions. How are you feeling about Don Sweeney today after that? Let me know in the comments section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday live at high noon Eastern time, and then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well as your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio here on the Wicked Boston Show.